Normally on my channel, I bring you some crazy exotic car or some iconic weird mobile, and then I show you all of its weird features and quirks before taking it on a drive. Not today. Today I have some BMW. But this isn't just any some BMW. This is the new BMW M2, which starts around $53,000 and uses a turbocharged 6-cylinder that makes 365 horsepower and 343 pound-feet of torque. It's offered with two great transmissions, a 6-speed manual or a dual-clutch automatic. This one, which I've borrowed from a viewer in New Jersey, has the manual, and it'll do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. It's also just the sweet spot for size and performance. I'll start with size. Today's BMW 4 Series is about the size of a yacht. The BMW 5 Series is about the size of a military flotilla. And the 6 Series is roughly the size of all of the world's oceans added together. And that leaves room at the bottom of the BMW lineup for the 2 Series to slot in, and it fits in ever so perfectly. It's nearly a foot shorter than the 3 Series. It's a foot and a half shorter than the 5 Series, and it's also narrower than both cars. And less car, to me, generally means more fun. And then there's performance. M3 and M5 and AMG people have gotten so excited about cars with 500 horsepower and 600 horsepower and 9 million horsepower that they've never stopped to actually think about whether they want that much power. I swear all these increasing horsepower numbers are just so that people can brag to other people about how much horsepower their car has, because you can't actually use it on the street. But with this car, with 365 horsepower, you can use every bit of it, and you can have fun the entire time. There's also another reason I've decided to drive the M2 today instead of some crazy expensive exotic car. Because the M2's predecessor, the BMW 1 Series M, is still one of my favorite cars that I've ever driven. So I wanted to try this out. And since it's the holidays, and since nobody's really watching this week, I decided that this would be my holiday present to myself. So I'm going to give you a short tour of the M2, and then I'm going to do something I've wanted to do since I first heard that they were making this car. I'm going to drive it. And as always, for more of my thoughts on this car, click the link below to check out my column on autotrader.com/oversteer. On the outside, let's talk about the styling differences that separate the M2 from a normal 2 Series. There's this little plastic fender grille, which isn't actually functional. There's a much more aggressive front end design with larger openings, and there's a bolder, more aggressive rear bumper too. There are blue BMW M performance brakes. Most importantly, just look at those wide fenders. It's subtle, but this is clearly no regular BMW. And then there's the interior. Climb inside, and the first thing you'll notice is, well, a lot of blue stitching. There's blue stitching on the door panel, and more blue stitching on the door panel. There's blue stitching on the front seat, the side bolsters, and, well, everywhere, really. There's blue stitching on the top of the front seat and the top of the back seat. There's blue stitching on the center console lid, the parking brake boot, and the shift boot. There's even blue stitching on this thing. Beyond the blue stitching, the rest of the interior is standard BMW fare. Everything looks good, everything feels great, and everything is well made. But in case the blue isn't a good enough reminder that you aren't in a normal BMW, there's also a little extra carbon fiber here, here, and here. And now it's time to get behind the wheel. It already just feels so good. The transmission is just, the shift lever and everything is so nice. It's so smooth, and it just slots right into gear. God, it's just so nice. It's so nice. It doesn't feel at all floaty. You drive down the street, I feel like I'm in total control of it. The transmission just feels so good. The clutch is super linear. One of the things that really upset me about my Aston was there was sort of a kink to the clutch. And this thing is just, you know exactly, almost immediately, where the catch point is for the clutch. And even just a little bit of wheel movement. It's a little over-assisted, but like, it's so tight. Like, it's just so, the second you turn the wheel. I mean, that's the thing about this car. This car is just so tight in every way. Like, it's just, it's as much size as they needed. That's the coolest thing about it to me. I just love how small it is. The smaller the car is, the more tossable it is. That's the thing, it's so fast. It might not be fast in comparison to like a 488 or whatever, but a 911 turbo, but what do you need? I just love going through the gears. Yeah. There are some stick cars where it's a chore, and there are some stick cars where it's just a total joy. Oh, those downshifts are so sweet, and rev matching is so easy. I've been driving this car for 7 minutes, and I'm already like rev matching is how I'm figuring it out. Because it's so easy. It's not like I'm good. It's just an amazingly good clutch and such an easy gear lever to get into place, and it revs very quickly. So the ride's a little harsh.
Oh yeah.
And so this doesn't have adjustable suspension, which means that this is kind of the ride you're dealing with. The heated steering wheel is the greatest invention in the history of the automobile.
And auto blip too on the downshift.
Oh, does it? Oh, yeah. There's no part of me that isn't sick of these BMW turn signals. I just get so tired. Just make it work like normal. That's not something that needed to be fixed. It's a very cold day, so we're a little bit worried about tire temperature, but this car I feel so confident driving it. It's so good around corners. It's so flat, and it's just so tossable. And that's the thing about cars the size of this car. It's just so much more tossable. The people who have the M3s and they want the serious power, they get to accelerate really fast and have their fun that way. But it's so much more fun on these back roads where you just kind of throw the car into each corner and you really feel every little bit of the car, and it's so great. The best cars are the ones that you get in and you just instantly feel confident and capable in, and this is one of those cars. It's not about half the cars I drive are not like that. Half the cars I drive, when I finish driving them, I'm still sort of in awe of and a little intimidated by, including my Viper. But this is one of those cars that, 2 or 3 drives, you feel like a master of this thing already. And it ain't you. It's the car. The car is really, really capable of making you feel that way. So that's the BMW M2. People with M3s will argue, and people with M5s will get mad, and people with M6s will change the Earth's gravitational pull every time they drive their cars. But the simple truth is this. This is the best current BMW M car. No, you won't impress anybody with only 365 horsepower and only 4 seconds 0 to 60, but I promise you this. You will be impressed every single time you get behind the wheel.